Hello everyone, and welcome back to a quick update on the fridge and new questions that have come in. The two primary questions that we have gotten relate to both temperature and door alignment, and we wanted to cover those. I'm going to talk about the door alignment first because this one was something that actually I had to dig into. And I don't know if I have an actual answer, but I have some theories and opinions, and I wanted to cover this. So, all of these fridges have, from what I have seen, a common scenario. Whichever one has the ice maker built in, you do not adjust anything as far as the height. The height adjustment is only on the one side. So at the bottom there's one hinge that adjusts this door up and down to cover the top so that they are aligned. That is the only thing that you can find documented in there. Now, someone asked a question about if the gap from top to bottom is not the same. Now, from the factory, ours had exactly this. It's a perfect gap, no problems. Now, the fridge comes with an alignment tool, which is basically just a T-handle looking piece of plastic or rubber. And as I understand it, and as I understand it, because the manual doesn't actually seem to show this that I've ever seen, you basically place that in the top between the two doors, and it sits across the top of both. So if you need to raise one of them up when it hits the bottom of that little thing, then you know your level. So honestly, I used to level on mine. I just set a level up top, and when both doors were hitting, I knew I was good. You don't really need that thing anyway. I don't have mine. I pretty much threw that thing away as soon as we opened it. So, again, from the factory, ours did not have a problem. Now, I went looking through the manual, and I found nothing about altering anything to fix the gap not being equal. I hit the internet, I looked at everything out there, and I could not find anything related to adjusting this gap. Now, there's two scenarios I can think of that may be coming into play. Just like your car, it looks like it's solid, it's a piece of metal, it's not going to move, but as you're driving, it has the ability to flex. A fridge can, to some extent, do the same thing. So when you're adjusting your two leveling feet at the bottom, you need to make sure you're not kind of jacking up one side and not the other. They need to be done evenly so that you're not putting a torsion that can actually cause this to flex a little bit. It's hard to show that. Ours is level, it's not a problem, but you can have it completely out of whack a little bit by doing that. Now, the other scenario, and the one that seems the most plausible, is that there may be either a design defect or an installer defect in the hinges. So when ours was delivered, they did not remove the doors. They opened them both and they basically wiggled it through the door. If this door swings open hard enough and goes beyond a certain point, it could be possible to maybe bend a hinge. Now, from the looks of these hinges, I don't think it's going to be very easy. So maybe it would be more of a from the factory defect. I'm not sure. Like I said, ours has never had a problem. I can't find anything related to it. So I'm kind of going at, okay, I know how it's built. What possible things could you be running into? So let me show you what our hinges look like and our gap. So I'm going to actually show you the measurement that we've got top to bottom and what our four hinges look like from the factory on what is, for lack of a better word, a working unit. Okay, so our bottom gap is exactly 1/2 inch. And our top gap is exactly 1/2 inch. So the gap between our doors is exactly 1/2 inch. Now, there are four hinges, one on each side, the four corners. The one up here has 4 screws. 2 of them the bracket sits around and the other 2 hold it in. So those 2 keep it from sliding. Now in theory, if you pull those 2 out, you could actually adjust that a little bit, but nothing in the manual says that, and in fact they tell you do not remove these screws. So I don't think that would come into play, but definitely something you could look at. So let me just go ahead and show you what ours look like. Okay, so this is as close up as I can get of what our bracket looks like on our, for lack of a better word, working model. As you see, the 2 black screws are the ones that actually hold it in. The 2 silvers are just kind of there. There's also a small shim underneath it. So for scale, I'm going to go ahead and throw the tape measure in here just to give you an idea of what the scale looks like. For the most part, this bracket is mostly straight with a little bit of a crook. And the one on the other side you'll see should be about the same, just the opposite direction. Okay, and here is the other bracket on ours. It's about as close up as I can get on that. So you can see sort of the general shape and anything that may help show if anything looks bent out of whack on yours. Again, if these two silver ones weren't here, maybe there's some play in this bracket that if you loosen these, you can kind of adjust this. But it seems like from everything I've seen, these screw holes are tight and not moving. So I don't think loosening those up and adjusting this is going to give you anything. Okay, so this is the bottom fridge hinge. It's a little bit harder to see, but we're just going to kind of get as much as I can from the two sides that are visible here, just to show you what everything looks like for ours. That is what our in one piece hinge, everything working, looks like. And here is the freezer side. Like, it's pretty close to the other, but you've also got the addition of the hoses and electrical wires going through the door and into the unit, but it's pretty much the same thing. As you can see here, our feet are actually not touching at all. Ours was level with no need to put those feet down. In fact, if anything, the back should come up, so that's the reason those are not pushing down and raising it up at all for us. Everything I've seen, these screws are what hold these brackets in. It doesn't look like there's any play in here. Because again, the only way to change that gap is for these hinges to literally move left or right. Kind of like with a bifold door at your laundry area. But from what I can see, everything I've researched, there is no way to change these, which leads me to believe that by default it's designed so that the distance between the two doors should always be the same. So in conclusion, outside of a few possible things, if your gap from here to here is not consistent and it's a new one, I would definitely call it in as a warranty item and complain about it. And if nothing else, make them prove to you that it's not something that was damaged or broken or built wrong. Because everything I've researched tells me that it should always be there, be perfect, and there is no way of adjusting that. The only thing you can adjust is up and down. And even then, it kind of constantly changes as you put stuff in and out of your doors. So it's kind of a gray area anyway. Now, on to the temperature thing. So I'll start off by saying we use the defaults. Whatever it's set to now is what it was set to when we installed it. Now, there is, I think it's what, temp, hold 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, boom. So you see it says recommended. It is fridge 37 degrees.
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. If I touch this and go up, then it goes off of recommended. So go back down. Come on.
You gotta press
wrong button. So recommended is 37 Fahrenheit, and that's what we use. That was the factory default. So select zone. Freezer is set to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, says recommended. If I change that, it, you got to confirm it, but it goes off of recommended. So we're using the defaults, and that was 0 for the freezer, 37 for the fridge, and that's just what it came with, and that's what we've used, and we have had no problems out of that. I like it being low. That way, if there's a power outage, things will stay frozen longer. And out in the country where we lose power, that's good for us. Yes, the ice cream may be a little bit harder than you like, but technically you can go lower, but I'm not going to go any lower than that unless we know there's an imminent power outage on its way. But just a quick video. Those are the most recent 2 things that we have had questions about, and I wanted to kind of give a little video of what ours looks like. Other than that, do you still like it?
I still love it.
So yeah, any other questions pop up, just let us know and we'll try to answer them as they come up. Hopefully that helps with the gap issue. I said this is one I had to dig into, and from what I can see, it should be right. There are no adjustments for that. Outside of a little play in the hinges, maybe you can loosen screws up and try it, but honestly, I think I would call support and say, hey, I bought this new, it's broke, and make them prove to you that it's not.
All right, well, we'll see you next time.
Bye.